Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Tech Talk with me, Kazim. And today I have Shervin Shaffie with me, a Microsoft technical specialist with wealth of experience in the tech space. To kick off the show, Shervin, please introduce yourself to my audience and tell us about your journey so far in the tech industry.
Thank you, Kazim, for having me on your show. Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Shervin Shaffie, and I'm a principal technical specialist at Microsoft. I'm in the modern workspace, focused on Microsoft Teams, so all the wonderful features like Teams meetings, Teams phone, Teams chat, all cool stuff that's coming with Copilot in the future. I focus on that side of it from a technical side. I'm a technical seller, essentially. My journey into tech, I was at Cisco for about 15 years before I joined Microsoft. And at Cisco, I was a collaboration architect covering WebEx and Cisco phones and video conferencing, and also contact center in the beginning. And then the last 3 years I've been at Microsoft. Previous to Cisco, I was at a company called eLoyalty for about 5 years, focused in the contact center space and CRM, ERP, customer relationship management, and then also networking that got me into Cisco. So that's a quick summary of myself, where I've been and now at Microsoft. I also really want to thank Kazim for not just giving me the opportunity to talk to all of you, but all the wonderful work that he does and these other videos that you should definitely watch because, hey, if it was me and I was looking to change my career, what better way of knowing what people are up to or what I would be getting myself into than listening to people that have these jobs and their experiences. So thank you so much, Kazim, for doing this and giving me the opportunity. And also a quick note, I do have a YouTube channel called Collaboration Simplified. You can either look it up by that name or just look up my name, Shervin Shaffie, and see these other videos that I have in there with respect to interview tips, career guidance, but also a lot of tech videos on Copilot and Teams phone and meetings. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, it's basically what I do for customers that I've put together on the YouTube channel. So you'll get a real life experience of what it is like to present to customers as a technical seller at Microsoft.
I know with what you do, you play a pivotal role in helping businesses harness the power of technology. But before we get into some of what you do, I'm curious now, what initially sparked your interest for technology and how do you end up in your current position? Hopefully, my viewers can take a lesson or two from your story.
So with respect to what inspired me, I guess you'd have to go back all the way to my childhood. Growing up in Canada, my dad in the late 80s, early 90s, he started to get into computers for his work as an accountant. And when he bought one for his office, he also got one for our home. And he really encouraged me to start learning how to use a computer. And I don't know, maybe many of you are not, the age that I am. But back then in the late 80s, early 90s, computers, many of them didn't even have hard drives, and they were just like 5.25-inch floppy drives, and they're running DOS, the disk operating system. This is pre-Windows. It was a Microsoft OS. And so I got into computers because of my dad. So thank you, Dad, if you're watching. And that actually started to snowball into me learning more and more about computers. I was kind of a BBS sysop back in the days when people were using modems and we didn't have cable modems and Wi-Fi and stuff. And so I got more and more into computers. And then I also had a high school teacher, this guy named Joe Luschuk. He really encouraged me to continue working in computers. And I got into basically being the site administrator for my high school because of my history teacher. So one of the things I want to mention is that these people, whether it was my dad or my history teacher, were really examples of early mentors that I had. People that saw something in me and encouraged me. And so I want to tell you that if you don't have a mentor today, go seek a mentor, go seek someone who believes in you and who can give you some guidance, because these people, if it wasn't for them early in my life, I probably wouldn't be here today, and I wouldn't have that kind of inspiration to continue to grow and prosper in this world of technology. But what happened after was basically not just being in computers, but being good at math and science. I got into engineering, so I studied electrical engineering. And when I finished that in Canada, I got a job in the States, and I moved to California. But I also want to mention that while I was at university, the co-op program was phenomenal, because I had 4 months co-op terms and I had 6 of them. So that's 24 months. Like, I had 2 years of work experience at companies like the Toronto Stock Exchange, Deloitte and Touche, and some other really wonderful ones. So all of those were kind of like building my career up with experience and knowledge from academic side, but also work experience. So when I got into my first full-time job after graduating, I already had 2 years of work experience in big companies because of my university's co-op program. So from there, I went to eLoyalty and then Cisco and Microsoft. But it's a long way of saying, kind of giving you a quick recap of my career journey and thanking all the mentors that I had along the way.
Wow. It's really incredible to see how your passion for technology has gotten you to where you are today. Next, Shervin, what does it mean to be a Microsoft technical specialist? And can you also give my audience a glimpse into what a typical workday looks like for you?
Okay, so as a Microsoft technical specialist, I consider myself a technical seller, and I had a similar role when I was at Cisco, but instead of being called a technical specialist, I was a technical solutions architect at TSA. So I've had these kinds of jobs for some time, and I really enjoy it. The reason I love them is because, number one, I'm an individual contributor, so I don't have a lot of direct reports or any direct reports, and it gives me kind of like the freedom to have the kind of conversations that I want to have with my customers, and I just love being an IC, an individual contributor. So that's one of the things about the job. You can certainly go into management and leadership, and that's your choice. Now, I do a lot of presentations to customers, and I'll tell you this, in the beginning, I really was not good at presentations. So I'm not saying that I'm very good at them now, but over time, I think I've gotten a lot better. So this is just one of those things where with practice, even if you aren't good in the beginning, you'll improve over time. So I give a lot of customer presentations. I talk a lot about Microsoft technology, and I also have a lot of internal meetings. I talk to other Microsoft folks in the product group, in leadership. I talk to Microsoft's partners. There's a vast ecosystem of partners. But ultimately, the point is to be able to explain technology to different customers, different departments of customers, IT, lines of business, and get them to understand how it can solve their business needs and the problems that they have. Because for me, it's not about just telling people how awesome Microsoft Teams or Microsoft Technologies is, but it's about solving an issue that the customer has. So it's embedding that technology into the workflow so that it's actually useful and it improves productivity and efficiency. So that's what I do in a nutshell. But like I said in the beginning, some of my videos, like the one on Microsoft calling plans or Teams Phone Mobile, are basically Microsoft presentations that I give to customers. So if you want to kind of get a real day in the life of how Shervin presents to customers, check those out, because that's essentially what I do and how I explain things to people.
That sounds really engaging. So do you mind to share any exciting project that you've worked on and any challenge or challenges that you faced in your role?
So one of the most exciting projects that I've been on was about just actually last year. And it was this, I can't give you the name, but it was a large company in San Diego. And it's a global company that has about 50,000 employees worldwide. And I love these types of global deployments of Microsoft Teams because you're working with basically a lot of different people inside Microsoft to help bring the solution together. The product group people, the customer success managers, the account executives, so many different roles come together to help craft a solution. Also the SSPs, my sales specialists. But you're also working with partners that help put the solution together and implement it, and the fast track teams for the proof of concept and so on. So it really takes a village to come together to provide a solution, especially for a large global deployment. But I take a lot of pride and satisfaction in being one of the team members that can put together a solution at such a scale, because I know it impacts the lives of many people. When they come in to work or when they check their phone and log into Teams, it's a solution that the greater team has put together for them compared to what they had in the past. So that's one of the more recent projects that I was involved in.
Next, let's talk about some exciting developments happening in the tech industry today. I mean, it used to be cloud computing, but these days people can hardly make up a sentence without the two words artificial intelligence in it. Even though everyone would agree that AI is rapidly transforming how we work and live. But I want to ask you, how do these advancements impact individuals and businesses? And what role does Microsoft play in driving this innovation?
So that's a good question. And I would say on the AI side, artificial intelligence, it's definitely in the news a lot. And people are all thinking about like, is this good? Is this bad? How is this going to change the world? And you know, Microsoft definitely has a huge responsibility, as well as all the other companies involved in AI, in how they craft these solutions and how it impacts people's lives for the better from a productivity efficiency perspective, but also around security and compliance and just making sure that the technologies, there's a lot of safeguards around it. A lot of this is work in progress, and myself, I'm not getting involved in it directly because I'm not on the engineering side developing this. I'm a technical seller, but I can explain how it works to customers when it actually comes to fruition because it's still work in progress. And I'll say I did a video on Microsoft Copilot in Teams recently. So if you want to kind of get an early glimpse of how this can change your life, check it out. So that's kind of interesting. But I would say the other thing about technology in general, whether it's Microsoft or any company, to me as a technical seller, it's not so much about the technology as it is how it actually makes a difference in your specific life, right? Because I don't want to sell or position a technology that you're not going to use and you get interested in it, but it just sits there idly and does nothing. You have to use technologies that actually make sense. And this AI trend and Copilot, specifically in Microsoft, is something that I see as tremendously useful. And again, like you'll see examples of why, but things like sentiment analysis or recap or action items that just automatically happen will make a big difference. And I really do consider it a game changer. So definitely stay tuned as Copilot develops over time.
All right, since you're a technical specialist, I'm sure you have some success stories to share. Do you mind? Can you share a success story or an example of how Microsoft is supporting its customers in implementing and leveraging their technology solutions effectively?
So because I can't give customer names, I'll tell you just kind of in general, Microsoft's methodology and a lot of big companies is really not only to use all the wonderful resources that we have in-house, like we have global black belts and customer success managers and customer success account managers and account executives and technology strategists. And so there's a big team of Microsoft people that come together to provide a solution for customers. But we also have a massive ecosystem of partners. And these partners are focused on specific technologies. It could be SharePoint, it could be Yammer, it could be a migration that you're doing from one messaging platform to Teams, it could be Teams Phone. So there are so many different partners out there, system integrators and developers of applications. But we really rely on these partners to help us create a complete solution, help us create the solution, help us implement the solution, and even support the solution afterwards. So I would say that as important as Microsoft people are in terms of creating and supporting these projects, our partners are equally, if not even more important, because a lot of times they're the ones that are front facing and taking the calls and creating the solution that maybe they've helped co-design with us along the way.
Shervin, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and giving us a glimpse into your day-to-day life as a Microsoft technical specialist. But before we sign off, do you have any advice for my viewers who are navigating their own tech journeys?
In terms of closing thoughts, I would leave you with this. As I explained to you about kind of what inspired me and my journey into tech, one thing that has become clear to me is that my journey has been very much step by step. And there's been a lot of different iterations over time. From the time that I was young to different jobs that I had as a kid that had to do with computers, to when I had co-op terms working at companies for 4 months at a time and then moving into different companies like eLoyalty and Cisco and now Microsoft. So it's happened over time. And even in these companies, I've had different roles for 2-3 years, and I've moved to a different level, different position, different part of the company. So for those of you who are looking at Microsoft and maybe you are just coming out of high school or university and you're like, okay, Microsoft is where I want to be and I'm going to apply and I'm going to get in when I'm 22 or 23. There are programs like that, like the Microsoft Aspire program. And I would say definitely go for it, right? Like build yourself up, apply, and I wish you the best. I hope that you get in. But in my case, I didn't get into Microsoft until about 20 years into my career. And I'll say that it's a journey. I've enjoyed every part of the journey of my career. So it's not like I was just waiting to get into Microsoft until I could celebrate. I've had a great time all the way through, including my time now at Microsoft. So give it your best, but do look at it as step by step and don't be disappointed. Just keep building yourself, keep trying, and I wish you all the best. So Kazim, thank you so much for having me on your call. Again, I think you're doing great things by giving people like myself and others a platform to talk about their experience and their journey. So thanks again, Kazim. And for all the people out there, I wish you all the best.
All right, you've heard the wise words from Shervin himself on the Tech Talk show today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And for those watching, remember that the world of technology is full of possibilities. And I hope that the story that Shervin has shared today on the show will inspire you to embark on your own tech journey. It's a wrap on another enlightening day in the life episode of the Tech Talk show with me, Kazim. Until next time, continue to stay focused, stay innovative, and keep learning. I'll see you another time. Bye-bye.
Cool.